our psyche, right? And thus dictates our behavior. That needs to happen. I thought it would have happened with Trump. It didn't happen then. You get what I'm saying? It's like we need something to really shake us up. Because if not, like you say, we won't unite. And unfortunately, it's sad that we had to be pushed into a corner to understand, the urgency of uniting and healing ourselves, building our families, building our communities. But unfortunately, I also agree with you, Fan and Art. I think that's what it's going to take, right? In order for Black people to finally see the light, because a lot of us have been bamboozled by the illusion of inclusion, right? So we think, oh, we already free. See, that's what happens when you promote that foolery. And I got to bring Baba in because I know Baba's going to nail it. That's what happens when you buy into the myth. See, the illusion of inclusion, that's a myth that we've arrived. Remember that whole thing they were promoting, a post-racial society? Remember when Barack Obama, I got to bring Baba in for this. Baba. Peace and love to you, Baba. What's going on, Baba?
Love, peace and love, Doc. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Hey, Baba, I can hear you now that you unmuted yourself. But Baba, I was getting ready to go in because I said, see, this is the type of stuff that happens when we buy into the whole myth of a post-racial society. See, we bought into a lot of European myths, Baba, over the years. And you and I are going to come back. We're going to come back, family, on Sunday to unpack these European myths that we have bought into. But we bought into that myth, Baba. Oh, now that Barack Obama is in office, we live in a post-racial society. So what did that do? That did two things, Baba. It convinced whites that racism doesn't exist. Why do we need why do you need affirmative action and laws that guard people against discrimination? We now live in a post-racial society. Barack Obama is the president, right? So you had white folks, it kind of convinced white folks that racism no longer exists. And then what it did was, Baba, it bamboozled us more to think that, now we're under the inclusion that we finally arrived. We're now citizens. We're now legit citizens in the United States. There's no more racism. And now you see, Baba, they're slowly but surely rolling back, these laws that came out of the civil rights movement. Baba, what's your thought? What's your thought, Baba?
Well, I'm thinking also the definition of what a Black person is and who Black people are, and going back to those definitions of us being naturally inferior. So it's like, no, we don't need affirmative action. Look at Clarence Thomas. You don't need affirmative action. Look at Oprah. The issue is that you don't work hard. You don't want to learn. You don't want to get your education. You want to be gangsters and this sort of thing. So now they're bringing this natural criminality or the criminalization of our people. Look for that to be brought to the forefront, because you'll see even with like with Clarence Thomas's statements and all that sort of thing. It doesn't matter what color you are. If you work hard in America, you'll succeed. And if you don't work hard, you didn't succeed. I remember growing up when Black people would come, successful Black people would come to the hood and speak in my classroom. They would often say, I made it, so you can too. There's no excuses for you not to make it. In other words, there's no racism out here. If you work hard to put your head down, you can make it, right? And we always equate making it. Unfortunately for us, we equate making it with inclusion.
Yeah.
So we feel like we need to be included in their institutions, their schools, their jobs. You have to grow up. You have to be taken in by a traditionally white institution in order to be success. And we stop opening our own businesses and growing our own institutions. That wasn't fashionable when I was growing up. When I was growing up, it was about getting a good job, getting a college degree, and getting a good job.
Same
you
here.
know what I'm saying? And so when you have that as your primary strategy, inclusion is everything. Because to come back to your community and build a business there, to live in your community while making good money became a sign of failure. So when they roll back affirmative action, in other words, they're rolling back this illusion of inclusion, it's scary, because what does it cause us to do? It calls us to have to look at each other and say, man, look like we might have to do something together. Oh my God, I can't go to Ohio State might not accept my child, or the University of Michigan might not accept me. What are we going to do? And if colleges, because law is about precedent. So if colleges no longer have to take that into consideration, what's going to happen when employers don't have to do it anymore?
Come on, come on, come on, come on,
What's
Baba,
going to
come
happen?
on.
What's going to happen when they say quota systems are unfair? A quota system is an attack on white people. Why you can trust us now? Racism is over. If I don't hire Shakisha, it's not because of her name and her braids. It's because she's not as qualified as Kathy. It had nothing to do with race.
Facts,
And
facts.
so, and so now, can you trust that? But better yet, have we been getting prepared for the day that white people said we want to be racist again,
Mm, mm,
or more
mm.
racist again? Because quotas, that wasn't a collective. Affirmative action wasn't really a collective gain, right? That was a small percentage was able to take advantage of that, and they put one successful person in front of us, and we act like we made it.
Come on, Baba. Come on,
So
Baba.
hey, what are we gonna do? Are
What we
we
going
prepared?
to do?
Are we
Oh,
preparing our children for a world where they have skills that are indispensable, can't be thrown away, and where they can either work for themselves or work for others? Are we getting ready?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah.
No,
So that's how
absolutely.
I look at it.
Absolutely. And for those who don't know, this is what we're talking about right now. Affirmative action. U.S. Supreme Court overturns race-based college admissions. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, family. I'll drop the link in the chat, but I do want to read a little bit of it. It says that Biden is now speaking out against the ruling. All right. I'm really not interested in hearing what he has to
Right,
say.
he's being very careful.
Exactly. So it says right here the US Supreme Court has ruled that race can no longer be considered as a factor in university admissions. Wait a minute, Baba. So as you
Mhm.
stated, Baba, and as I was talking with my cousin, and you met my cousin, Miss Bowens. You met her when she came down to the land. And I
Yes,
was talking with her today, and I just was trying to pick her brain about this whole thing. And she said, this will be great, in an ideal situation, meaning that everyone received an equal education, right? But we
right.
know, Baba, that everyone doesn't receive an equal education in the
That's
United
right.
States. We know that they don't.
That's
And in
right.
fact, I want to pull up a quote, Baba, really quickly. I'm trying to find it because I don't want to misquote
Mhm.
these authors who specialize in engineering education research. I would say education research. But these
Right.
authors, hold on, I want to quote them. Darling Hammond. Darling Hammond said this about the U.S. Darling Hammond said the educational system about the US, the educational system is one of the most inequitable in the industrialized
Mhm.
world, and students routinely receive dramatically different learning opportunities based on their social status. And as I explained at the American Society for Engineering Education conference this past Tuesday, I said to the audience that social status, that there's a high correlation
That's right.
between social status and race. And if you read the work of Richard Rothstein, The Color of Law, and The Hidden Cost of Being an African American by Thomas Shapiro, you clearly
Right.
understand that there's a strong correlation between race and social class. And most
Mhm.
Black people are at the poverty line, at or below the poverty line. So when you say, you know, when you say, we no longer have to consider color, right? Or
Right.
race. Okay, it says race in the decision making of college acceptance. You're now
Mhm.
saying that you believe that everyone in America, right, receives an equal education, and we know that is far from the truth.
That's
So let me
not true.
yeah, so let me continue reading Bible. Like it's ridiculous. Let's keep reading. Like I said, I'm not going to read the whole thing. So it says the landmark ruling the landmark ruling appends decades decades old US policies on so-called affirmative action. I'm glad that they said that.
Hmm.
So-called affirmative action,
Right.
also known as positive discrimination. It says it is one of the most contentious issues in US education. Affirmative action first made its way into policy in the 1960s and has been defended as a measure to increase diversity. But wait a minute, Baba. There is a book out. Hold on, family. Let me grab the book. Baba, I'm always showing the book.
Absolutely.
I'm always showing the book. And Baba,
Yes.
Baba, that the book club, the Read Book Club, will be reading this book when affirmative action was white.
Ooh, love it.
when affirmative action
Power,
was white. So yes,
power.
initially affirmative action was supposed to be for, inclusion and diversity purposes. But Baba, when they create something for us, when something is created for us,
Right.
everybody wants to take advantage. So before you know it,
Took
affirmative,
advantage.
yeah, they took advantage. So before you know it, affirmative action benefited, you know, it was all minorities, first and
Hmm.
foremost, all
Hmm.
minorities, and
Hmm.
white women were included in that.
The number one benefactors of affirmative action
Come
have
on.
been white women. That's
Come
the
on, Baba.
that's the demographic that has benefited the most from affirmative action. You know what I'm saying? And again, another quote unquote gain that our community fought for, right? That was co-opted and diluted, right? And taken from us while keeping us. Let's just make the group bigger.
Come on.
It's all about definitions, right? So we can't say it's for black people. We have to say it's for minorities and all marginalized groups, which ends up being any non-white male.
Come on. That's all it's about.
Right.
Baba, I learned that at the conference. So look, our paper was up for best diversity. You know
Mm-hmm.
who beat my paper? You know who beat our paper?
Ooh.
It was, and I don't want people to think, oh, Dr. Maat is hating on this white lady or she, who got best diversity award? It was a
Mm.
white woman who wrote a paper about role models for white girls. And so I said, well, how the hell is that diversity? And you know what my cousin told me? She said D, because that's what they call me. She said D. She said, because it was not white. She said, diversity is everybody but white men. Then it's
Yep.
diverse. If it's
Mm-hmm.
white women and white
Mm-hmm.
children, it's considered
Mm-hmm.
diverse.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, when we think of diversity, we think about it from a racial
Yes.
standpoint. But
Yes.
when they think of diversity, anybody but white men.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
now it's diverse. So let
Right.
me move forward, Baba, with this. So it says U.S. President Joe Biden said he strongly disagrees with Thursday's much anticipated decision. It says we cannot let this decision be the last word. He said discrimination still exists in America, which it does. It says this is not a normal court. He added
Of course.
of the 9 justices who are ideologically split between 6 conservative and 3 liberals. It says the education secretary, Miguel Cardonas, told BBC News that the court took away a very important tool that university leaders use to ensure diversity on the campus. I agree with that. So it says, however, what it didn't take away is the intent to ensure that our colleges are made up of beautifully diverse students, much like our country. He continued adding that the White House will issue guidance to university.
Mm-hmm.
Guidance, not
Mm-hmm.
policies, not something that, not policies, not law, guidance, right? That people
Guidance.
can
Mm-hmm.
overlook. Guidance to
Yes.
universities with instructions on how to legally maintain diversity. So it says the ruling covered 2 cases.
Assuming diversity is there, but go ahead.
Exactly, assuming that diversity is there. It says the ruling covered 2 cases involving admissions at Harvard and University of North Carolina. The court ruled 6-3 again UNC and 6-2 against Harvard. The justices sided with an organization called Students for Fair Admissions, founded by legal activist Edward Blum. It says the group argued before the court last October that Harvard's race conscious admissions policy violated Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which bars discrimination based on race, color, or national origin.
Mm,
Wow, Baba, hold on.
mm,
So it says Chief Justice John Roberts wrote many universities have far too long wrongly concluded that the touchstone of an individual's identity is not challenges vested, skills built, or lessons learned, but the color of their skin. His majority opinion said UNC and Harvard's policies were well intentioned. Oh my God. Okay. It says in the decision noted that the university should not be prohibited from considering an applicant's discussion of how race affects his or her life. But Justice Roberts wrote Harvard's admission process rests on the pernicious stereotype that black students can usually bring something that a white person cannot offer. So it says Justin Clarence Thomas, got to get to him. It says the
mm-hmm.
nation's second black justice in conservative who has long called for the end of the end of affirmative action, agreed. He wrote that such programs were patently unconstitutional. This is what he said. Universities' self-proclaimed righteousness does not afford them license to discriminate on the basis of race, he said. But he benefited. Didn't he go to Harvard?
Oh, absolutely, he
Yeah, so
benefited.
he benefited
Yeah,
from
yeah,
affirmative
yeah.
action,
We
got
actually
to where he
claims
was
that.
going.
Yeah,
Hold on, let me finish my
yeah.
thought, Baba. Got to where he was going, got to where he was going, Baba, and then
Mhm.
said, we don't need it anymore. Go ahead, Baba.
Yeah, and he actually claims that affirmative action, though it helped him, was also a hindrance because he never got the respect he deserved at Harvard because they all considered him an affirmative action admittee, and that's what a lot of the brothers, the black folk who get in those positions say once they get there. It's like, I'm actually having a hard time out here because no one respects me because they think I just got my job because of affirmative action. They think
Right.
I just got my into Harvard because of affirmative action, and they don't think I deserve to be there. And I'm sorry, y'all, you may deserve to be there, but you are there because of affirmative action. They won't hire you whether you deserve to be there or not. That's why affirmative action was necessary.
Teach, Baba.
They won't
Teach.
enroll you whether you deserve to be there or not just because you're black. That's the reason why these types of things were put in place, right? And so once you get in there, you're complaining that they don't respect you because you got in on affirmative action. No, they don't respect you for the same reason they didn't respect you before affirmative action.
Come on, Baba.
Okay.
Come on,
Now
Baba.
they just have a new dog whistle that they can use. Instead of saying N word, they can say affirmative action hire, affirmative action enrollment. But
Teach,
they
Baba.
don't respect you for the very same reason they didn't respect you, Clarence Thomas, before you got in there. And
Come
if
on.
you stop being a talking head for them, they don't respect you now.
They don't respect you now.
They don't
Facts,
respect
Baba.
you now, right? And for those same reasons, you didn't. We have to stop thinking that there's a way that we could perform that's going to change the minds and hearts of a people who culturally are raised to hate us
Come
or
on.
to look at us as inferior beings. There's no tap dance you can do. There's no vocabulary you learn. We have to get out of you tell a young person whenever they're being bullied, right? Don't kowtow to the bully. Don't start acting like the bully. Be yourself. And if someone doesn't want to be around you, don't be around them. Why can't we take that same collective attitude
Come on.
and
Come on,
stop
Baba.
trying thinking that there's some sort of performance that you can put on that'll cure that racism? How do
Come
you
on.
cure racism? Don't by not needing racists.
Come on, Baba. Say that one more time, Baba. I ain't hear you. Say that one more time.
How do you cure racism? By not needing racists. The
Ashe.
less you need a racist, the less you experience racism.
You better teach, Baba. You better teach. Make it plain, Baba.
The
Baba, you made it
less you
plain.
need a racist, the less you experience racism.
Oh,
If you're growing your own food, if you own your own land, if you're in your own communities, your own institutions, and you deal with other people from a standpoint of strength, but not a standpoint of desperation and need, then you can handle racism better when you see it. But if you gotta swallow racism in order to eat, how you gonna fight it? How you gonna fight something that you depend on for your survival?
come on. Come on, Baba. Come on, Baba. So it goes on to say, look at this. Amongst the liberal justices who dissented was Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first
Mm-hmm.
Black woman appointed to the court. She said that the decision was truly a tragedy for all of us. She said, with let them eat cake obliviousness, today, the majority pulls the ripcord and announces color blindness for all by legal flat, she wrote. Another dissenting liberal justice was Sonoya Sotomayor said that
Mm-hmm.
the ruling submits a superficial rule of color blindness. It is superficial as a constitutional principle in an endemically segregated society. Exactly. America's still very racially
Oh, absolutely.
segregated. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it says, but Justice Roberts argued that the dissenting justices had ignored parts of the law that they did not like. It says, most
Mm-hmm.
troubling of all is the dissent must make these omissions to defend a judiciary that picks winners and losers based on the color of their skin, he wrote. Mr. Blum, the founder of Students for Fair Admission, celebrated his group's success for the blockbustering ruling. Let me keep going.
Mm-hmm.
The blockbustering ruling, where are we? It says he called it the beginning of the restoration of the colorblind legal covenant that binds together our multiracial, multi-ethnic nation. Is he crazy, Baba?
Yeah.
I'm like, is he delusional? Is it me? Like, I
No,
like
no, he's just lying.
lying like a rug. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
says these discriminatory admission practices undermine the integrity of our country's civil
Hmm.
rights laws. He said, you cones, it looked like it's a lot of Asian folks, presidents of Asian
Hmm.
American
Yeah, they were
Coalition
used as
for
pawns.
Education. Yeah, it says today, the BBC, he welcomed the ruling. His
Hmm.
group argued that affirmative action and their group benefited from affirmative action. But let me keep going. It says his group argued, and what I mean by their group, I'm talking about Asians have
Hmm.
benefited from affirmative action.
Hmm.
They sure
Absolutely.
have. So it says, Bob, his group argued that affirmative action had negatively affected Asian American students' odds of enrollment at elite schools. This decision will preserve mediocrity, it says, which is the bedrock of the American dream. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So he's of the opinion, Baba, that if you ain't making it in America, like you said, there's something
Hmm.
wrong with you.
There's something wrong with you.
It's something going
Right,
on with
right.
you.
There's something wrong with
Yeah,
you.
that's what a lot of people. America has done a great job. America's done a wonderful job, not only brainwashing its citizens, but
Hmm.
brainwashing everybody in the world
Hmm.
because that's what they really think about
Right,
America. You know
right.
that is built on what is that called? Mediocrity. I'm sorry, what was that about? Yeah, meritocracy. I'm
A
sorry,
meritocracy. Right.
meritocracy. So it was
Meritocracy.
built on meritocracy,
Hmm.
democracy, right?
Right,
Democracy, meritocracy, freedom for all,
right,
justice for all.
right,
People really believe this stuff so
right,
much so that our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, when they come here, they looking at us like, man, why can't y'all make it? Man, they really think that we get handouts
right,
and some other crap, Baba. You know what I mean? Like I'm
right,
talking about black immigrants have said,
right.
man, I thought that y'all were just lazy. I thought that black Americans were lazy and just was
Right.
complaining and spoiled. Then they get
Hmm.
over here and they see, oh, America is not all that she promotes herself to be
Absolutely not.
to these outside entities. So, Baba, moving forward, it says
Yes.
the decision will preserve meritocracy. Okay, it says others criticize the ruling. So a woman named Angie Gabal, it says the president of the Harvard Black Student Association told the BBC she was very discouraged by the decision. Ms. Gabu, who is 21 and entering her final year at Harvard, says she believes her race 100% played a factor in my application, including through the application essay. Right, exactly.
Right.
Let's keep on going. So it says she worries that students that are affected by their race in this country will now feel obligated to trauma dump in their applications to show how race is affecting their lives. It says in the statement, Harvard President Lawrence Bacall said that while Ivy League College will certainly comply with the court's decision, it will continue to incorporate people of many backgrounds, perspectives, and lived experiences. Yeah, right. All right, I'm
Right.
not going, Bob. I don't even want to read anymore. Family, I will
Hmm.
drop the link in the chat for to this article just in case you want to read it. We read the majority of it
Right.
and discussed the majority of it. But Baba, I really want to move to this dude right here. Hold on. Let me stop sharing my screen. I gotta put him on the screen.
Yeah.
This dad going, I said, man, when you look at a Sambo, a daggone coon, whatever you want to, like, he's everything. Like, just look at him.
Mm.
This dude, it says his long battle
Oh yeah.
against affirmative action. And see, Baba, I didn't know that he was battling affirmative action. Like, I didn't keep up with it.
Hmm.
That was new to me, but I wasn't
Right.
surprised. Like, I
Right.
wasn't surprised when people said Justice Clarence Thomas, I'm sorry, that he, fought against it. You know what I mean, Baba?
Yes.
And so this article was circulating online, and I said, you know what? I want to read it, but I want to read it with my folks. It says when Clarence Thomas was accepted to Yale. Okay, my bad. I thought it was Harvard.
Yeah.
Yale. It says when he was accepted to Yale Law School in 1971. And Baba, think about it. 1971, they wasn't hiring. No, they weren't hiring. They weren't
Yeah.
bringing no folks in.
Right.
If they hired you at Yale, you were probably the maintenance man,
Right.
or you were working in the kitchen, right?
Right.
Or you were a janitor or something like that. But
Right.
they didn't bring in a bunch of
Right.
black folks. And so he
Right.
went in 1971. So it says when Clarence Thomas was accepted at Yale Law School in 1971, the school's stated goal was for students of color like him to make up about 10% of his incoming class. Pause. So, Baba, they had a quota. They were like, yo, we ain't let no more than about 10% in here. They had a
Right.
quota. So
Right.
it says it was part of the nationwide affirmative action. So the quota came as a result of a nationwide affirmative action in which schools and workplaces actively recruited women and people of color. There go, there go. Don't we get lumped in? There go
Uh-huh.
that white woman get lumped in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It says women and people of color into arenas where they had long been underrepresented. So they were trying to integrate, right, white spaces, and
Oh,
that's
control integration. Yes.
control integration, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
like white spaces. So it says for decades, many universities have considered race as one admissions factor to help create a diverse student body. Thomas has long remained a staunch opposed. Now look at this, opposed to affirmative action. Frontline's recent documentary, Clarence and Jeannie Thomas. Politics, Power, and the Supreme Court examine the opposition within the larger context of Thomas's rise to power and how the couple has influenced American law and politics. So it says in a decision expected to have far-reaching implication for universities and students across the country, the Supreme Court ruled on Thursday, June the 29th, that Harvard and the University of North Carolina's programs considering race in college admissions are
Hmm.
unconstitutional. Thomas, now the longest serving justice on a solidly conservative court, sided with the majority, of course, unpending decades of precedent. Below, Frontier examines Thomas' stance on affirmative action from his time in law school till Thursday. So let's take a look at this, Baba. Oh, look at this. This is a video. Hold on, Baba. Look. He says you had to prove yourself every day. Thomas arrived at Yale Law School, one of the 12 black students. One of his black classmates told Thomas biographers that she recalled a member of the law school admissions committee saying there were no black students qualified to be there. All right. So it says, I do think he believed that people assumed he was there as a beneficiary of affirmative action and graded on him. And it says John Bolton, former national security advisor and classmate of Thomas at Yale, told Frontline in an interview in an interview for the documentary. So it says in 1980, Thomas said at a meeting of black conservatives, you had to prove yourself every day. This is what you were saying, Baba, earlier. You had to prove yourself every day because the presumption was that you were dumb and didn't deserve to be there on merit. Who cares? I
Right.
don't even care, Baba. So he feeling some type of way because he got through the door on affirmative action, based on affirmative action, and white folks felt some type of way. And so
Yeah. But
he
he's
felt the
fooling
need,
himself to
and
think
he
it's
felt the
because of
need,
affirmative action.
right? But he actually felt the need to prove himself to them. But so that goes to show you like his thought process, right?
Right.
But you're there based on affirmative action, check, right? And even there, he's worried about how the white folks were looking at him
Of
and feeling
course.
like he had something to prove to them.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
anyway, it goes on to say, but Thomas was at war with himself on affirmative action, according to the biography Supreme Discomfort by Kevin Merida and Michael Fletcher. In 1983, his head of Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, he said that affirmative action laws were of paramount importance to him, but for them, God only knows when I would be where I would be today, he said. Hold on, wait a minute. He said that affirmative action laws were of paramount importance to him, but for them, God only knows where I would be today. Okay, so I'm a
Hmm.
little confused, Baba. It
He
says,
is too.
yeah, it sounds like he's confused. So it says Thomas would come to believe that affirmative action harms the very people it claims to benefit, writing in a later Supreme Court opinion that Black and Hispanic students who likely would have excelled at less elite schools are placed in a position where underperformance is all but inevitable, and that would negatively impact their self-confidence. Well,
I wonder.
really this is omission, Bob, but that's talking about how how we receive an inferior education
Hmm.
compared to them. I mean, this seems like it's an omission. So it's saying
Yeah.
that we receive this inferior education compared to them, and so then when we get in their spaces, we're unable to
We
keep up.
ain't ready.
We're not ready. We're not able to compete.
Hmm.
It seems like that's what he's saying here. So it says while working in Washington, Thomas came to the attention of the White House and became a front man for the former president Ronald Reagan on race issues. Of course.
Mm.
Of
Yeah.
course, he would be a front man for
Of course.
racist Ronald
Makes
Reagan.
perfect sense. Makes
Makes
perfect sense.
perfect sense.
Makes
It
perfect
says he
sense.
was dispatched to groups of anywhere from 5 people to 500 people to discuss the important issues as the Republican Party saw
Mhm.
them. Thomas' former girlfriend, Lillian McEwen, told, so sound like he's married to another white woman or had another white girl, told Frontline in an interview in the documentary, and his thinking about affirmative action, I would say, probably evolved more from these speeches that he was giving all over the country than from a personal experience hatred of affirmative action. So it says after Reagan appointed Thomas chair of the EEOC in 1982, Thomas shifted his agency's efforts from broad class action race discrimination lawsuits to more narrowly defined bias against individuals. It says this move helped Thomas rise within the conservative politics throughout the 1980s, and in 1991 former President George Bush nominated him for Supreme Court. Of course they would. So it
Mhm.
says the fact that he is black and a minority has nothing to do with this in the case that he is the best qualified at the time, Bush said. Yeah, right. It says, but his critics didn't see it that way. Clarence Thomas stands to be one of the great beneficiaries in American life of affirmative action. Harvard Law professor Randall Kennedy, who wrote a book of essays on racial justice in the Supreme Court, said in the Frontline documentary. So then this goes on to his opinions about affirmative action. So, family, I will drop the link in the chat. It says watch their politics power. I don't know what this is. Let me click it real quick, Baba. Oh, it's a whole hour and 50 minutes.
Yeah, that's
I'm not.
Gianni, him and his wife,
Yeah.
how they
Is
rock.
you said it's Clarence and Gianni?
I think so. Him and his wife, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're gonna be
Hmm.
talking about that. And she's a white
Right.
chick, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, of
Good
course.
as he talk, he got him a white one. What? You serious? Only
What?
time you saw him with a black woman was with Anita Hill when he was trying to get nominated and she accused him of sexual harassment. Remember that?
Oh, yes, I do remember he was
You know?
accused of it, but I didn't know about whom.
By the sister, Anita Hill. Uh-huh.
Wow. Baba,
Yeah.
let me see this real quick. I just want to read.
Hmm.
I'm just
No
curious to
problem.
know his opinions.
Do you
So it
think?
says the first affirmative action cases to reach the Supreme Court once Thomas joined the bench were in 2003 in separate cases involving two white students who sued after being denied admission to the University of Michigan. So you Mitch, one of the undergraduate program of one to its law school. Okay, so it says the court majority ruled that in the Grutter versus Bollinger, the universities could consider applicants' race in a narrowly tailored way to further
Mhm.
the compelling interests of achieving diverse student body. It says in a dissent, Thomas argued that race conscious admissions violate the equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment. He also wrote that universities only prize diversity to obtain the aesthetic student body. Ooh. So it says in the case Gratz versus Bollinger, the court majority found that the university's use of racial point system in admissions was unconstitutional. Thomas wrote a concurring opinion. It says in 2013, the Supreme Court reaffirmed its stance on Grutter versus Fisher versus University of Texas, but Thomas dissented again, writing that the court should have overturned Grutter. All right, I'm just curious, Baba. It says the
Right.
majority opinion in Grutter had predicted that 20 years from now, the use of racial preferences will no longer be necessary to maintain diversity in schools. But research shows that racial
Mm.
disparities in colleges still exist 20 years
Oh,
later.
absolutely.
Exactly. So what are you talking about
Absolutely.
here? So it's
Absolutely.
so then it goes on. It says on Thursday, the court's opinion stated that 20 years have passed since Grutter, with no end to race-based college admissions in sight. So it says the case behind the opinion, Students for Fair Admissions versus Howard, Students for Fair Admissions versus University of North Carolina, were taken up by the Supreme Court last year. Students for Fairness Admission is an organization led by legal activist Edward Bloom, who has coordinated dozens of anti-affirmative action lawsuits, including Fisher. It says the group argued in the suit against Harvard University that Asian Americans are discriminated against in favor of white applicants
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
admission process. In the suit against UNC, it called back to Thomas's argument in Grutter alleging that that consideration of the race violates the 14th Amendment. So they go on to talk about this stuff, family, and I'll drop the link in the chat. And so anyway, Baba, I mean, what do you think about Asian people saying that, that they're being discriminated against with affirmative action, and saying that, when it comes to white folks, because to me, affirmative action would guarantee that they would get in. Well, I'm not going to say guarantee, but it would help or assist with them getting into these Ivy League schools or these predominantly
Well,
white institutions.
the interviews that I've read has been the Asian students claiming that Asians are being discriminated against through affirmative action because African American students who have lower scores are being admitted over Asian students, right? And so the Asian students are actually the proxy in this case, right? Complaining that affirmative action is hurting them when it's in favor of Black students, right? And
But
yeah,
they said white in this article. It said
right,
white in
right.
this
But
article.
I saw an interview with one of the Asian guys that was representing it, and that's one of the points that he brought up. He said they have a statistic that Black students who score 200 points lower than an Asian student will be picked over an Asian student, right? And so they're being kind of used as the proxy. The irony of it all is that when you look at the statistical makeup of Harvard, Asians make up 27.9% of the student body. Black people make up 15%.
Come on,
right?
Baba.
When you look at the University of North Carolina, Black people make up 8% of the student body, right? So it's not like we're talking about some big sweeping change in demographics that's going on, because we still make up a very small percentage of the student body at these institutions. But I just wanted to point out the irony in Thomas's in their argument that affirmative action hurts because they don't take you serious because they figured you came in on an entitlement, right? And no, Thomas, they don't take you serious because they already believe that you're inferior, and it doesn't matter what you do. It kind of takes me back to slavery, when there were people who honestly argued against slavery ending because they said no. They're better off on the plantation. They don't know what to do with freedom.
Come on, Bob.
They're better off on the plantation. So when they say, well, they're getting an inferior education, they're better off going to an institution that matches the inferior education that they get rather than setting them up for failure, right? And so you make this automatic assumption. You're right. If you're Black and you're from a school in the hood, there's no way that you can make it. That's not true, right? Look, you don't think you got white folks from prestigious schools that go to Harvard and flunk out?
Come on, Baba.
You don't think that there are Black people who come from so-called inferior schools that go on to Ivy League schools and do well? There are. Because it takes more than just what's going on at your school in order for you to be successful. What about after-school programs, studying in the summer, self-study, that sort of thing, right? So you can't discount someone simply because of class. Right. And so it's just interesting, though, when they use this dog whistle. You don't want this freedom. You don't want the burden of higher education. You're not ready for higher education. But there's no battle. There's no true battle to increase the value of education that you're receiving on the elementary school level, middle school level, high school level. That's over here. Instead of saying, let's raise the standards from where they come from. No. Let's keep those standards where they are and put them where we want them to be in society.
Facts, Baba.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's a very racist argument, and Clarence Thomas gets to make that argument, and other Black conservatives. But rich Black folk tend to just get Black when it benefits them as individuals. Byron Allen, he don't really talk Black, but when he was trying to buy networks and get more ad space for his company, he came out, the company's gonna buy ad space for my company because I'm Black. So all of a sudden they get Black, then they get the more ad space, and you don't hear from them no more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Monique too. I want to call out Monique too.
Yeah. And the last thing I'm gonna say is, Clarence Thomas, you went to that school in 1971. And the only reason why the affirmative action exists, the only reason that so-called pseudo integration existed was because collectively Black folks stood up and fought. Collectively. In 1971, Dr. King had just been killed in 1968. You had an unpopular war in Vietnam. You had black youth in America making friends with America's enemies all over the world. So the United States government had to take control of the narrative. And one of the things that and whenever they want to take control of the narrative, they give us a token. Integration was a token because school is still segregated right now today in 2023.
Absolutely.
The vast majority of public schools are still segregated. They gave you a token. They gave you token integration. They gave you token affirmative action. And now they're turning those tokens around and taking those tokens away because they feel like they've taken control of the narrative. That's all it is. But it was the pressure of the collective of black people that brought all that stuff into existence in the first place. And I'm not that mad that it's going away because it gives us the opportunity to look at us and work on what we need to work on for us.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you, Baba. Yeah. I'm with you, Baba. And so I knew that it was going to get shot down. Anytime you tell me that 3 of the justices, I'm sorry, I knew they were going to overturn it. So 6 are conservative and 3 are liberals, right? Like, like, come on, Baba, you know what it is. And so then you hear about this right here. Are you up, Baba, on this? You know, the Justice Clarence Thomas,
they put him up,
going back and forth.
Yeah. So, I'm up on it. I checked it out.
So you checked it out. So what was? I know they were throwing daggers at each other, but Bobby, if you could summarize.
Well, you know, the media definitely wanted to highlight the 2 black justices on opposing sides of the argument. You know what I'm saying? And basically they did those same arguments that black people on both sides of the aisle make. You know, Ketanji was like, you know, I'm paraphrasing. You know, she's basically, Clarence Thomas, you pretending like racism don't exist anymore. What pipe you smoking? Right. Like this to pretend like it's over, to pretend like racism has been cured and this is no longer necessary. What pipe are you smoking? And Clarence was again saying the black conservative argument, these entitlements make us look bad. If you work hard and put your head down, you can accomplish anything in America. And basically what you're telling black people, you're telling us that we're victims that live inside of a racist society. Now, I'm not down with the victim mentality, but we do live inside of a racist society,
right?
And a classist and racist society. That's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, like, and let's not act like we haven't been victims of racism and discrimination, and let's not act like we haven't been. I mean, I understand that people turn that word, that victim mentality, I'm a victim, and then you feel helpless and you don't want to do nothing for yourself. Right. But
I'm just looking at laughing at both of them go home to their white spouses and get like, you know, I guess her husband is like, well, you told them, Ketanji. Wow, that's my chocolate. That's my chocolate radical right there. You know, that's my little Angela Davis right there, you know, and then Clarence went home and his wife, Clarence, I just love it when you talk dirty. I just love it. I love it when you talk conservative and you're such a credit to your race. So I'm sure they both went home and got kudos from their spouses yesterday.
Why you say, you're such a credit to your race? Oh.
Yeah, you're such a credit to your race. You're such a credit to your race, Clarence. And Ketanji, you know, you're so radical, Ketanji. That's what I love about you. You're so radical. You're just so radical, you know. And so, yeah, she went and got her some black points. You know, he went and got him some points. She went and got her a few points, you know. But they both served on the most unjust Supreme Court on the planet, you know. And it's not unjust because you got conservatives on it and liberals on it. It's unjust because we know. We're not supposed to know. The Supreme Court is supposed to be impartial. There should be no such thing as a conservative judge or a liberal judge. They're not supposed to be either. And the fact that we've turned the Supreme Court into Congress. We've normalized knowing the political views of Supreme Court justices. That renders the court null and void by itself. They're supposed to be impartial. You're not supposed to know who's liberal, who's conservative, and it's gotten so blatant now that no matter what the court decides, half the country's gonna hate it.
Right, facts.
You know what I'm saying? And so the whole thing is a farce, right? So yeah, they got into it. And of course they highlighted the difference in opinions and that sort of thing. But I don't want us to put all of our Black Power eggs in an affirmative action basket, an affirmative
Right.
action movement that started in the late 60s to now. I mean, let's give it a grade. Let's give it a grade. What has it done for Black people as a whole, as a collective? We've had some success through that. I don't deny that at all. But have we leaned so much on inclusion that we've neglected a lot of the power that we really have as a collective? I think we
Mm-hmm.
have.
Mm-hmm.
I think we neglect a lot of power that we have because we're all aiming to hit this inclusion lottery. And
Mm-hmm.
so the Democrats are going to take this and say, you want affirmative action back? What are they going to tell us to go do? Vote.
Vote. Come on, Baba. They're gonna say vote.
And they're gonna
Vote.
say reason why you ain't got affirmative action no more is because we don't what?
Vote.
We don't vote. They're gonna take the narrative and explore. That's what capitalism is: capitalizing on the situation for personal gain.
That's a
Right?
fact.
So how are we going to capitalize?
That's a fact.
Right? And so that's what it is. You know, I think I see Robert Rolo in the chat say it's a paradigm shift, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
usually, I mean, I enjoyed the Trump years, man. I mean, you had folks on the news getting afros and braids, the Black people that, I enjoy when a little racism, blatant racism happens, because then we start looking at each other. And for someone like me with a school, I'm like, oh, I can recruit now.
Facts.
Yeah, I can recruit now, because we see it there the whole time. But a lot of us, we need to have an overt action to be in mainstream media before we realize that we still have to work together and build with one another. And so, hey, y'all, let's get to work. What we gonna
Absolutely.
do? Let's build some
Absolutely.
universities. What we gonna do?
Absolutely, Baba. And I just want to add, I love what Brother Christopher said. He said we are victims of a criminal, or criminogenic society. He said, but we don't have to subscribe to the victimhood and helplessness.
Ashe,
Exactly,
Ashe.
exactly, exactly, Brother Christopher. Exactly. Family, I see that 90,000 people in the building. Take a
Come
moment
on,
out to thumb up this video. Thumb up this video, family. Also share this discussion, share this stream. All right. We each one teach one in the 21st century is just clicking a button, right? Click a button on your phone. Share this discussion on your social media pages. Also, family, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say something else. I just seen Brother Onk in the building, Abjuer. He's so simple, making his little faces. Also, family, text this stream to at least 2 or 3 people. All right, text this stream to
Ashe.
about 3 people, and let's get these views up. So let me read quickly what their criticisms. I do want to hear them going back and forth. So it
Yes.
talks about what they did, the majority opinion, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Let me skip here. Justice Clarence Thomas in the courts. It says other 4 conservatives joint Roberts' opinion. It says, but Thomas, who in 1991 became the second Black person to ascend to the nation's highest court, issued in a lengthy concurrence that attacked such admission programs and tore into arguments positions by liberal Justice Ketanji. It says the first Black woman to join the court who penned her own fiery dissent in the case. So let's see what they're talking about. They're going back and forth. So it says Thomas has previously acknowledged that he made it to Yale Law School because of affirmative action, but he has. I'm gonna mute you, Bob. All right. Previously acknowledged that he made it to Yale Law School because of affirmative action, but he has long criticized such policies. He spoke in personal terms in his concurrence as he put forth his argument against the use of policies which he described as rudderless, race-based preferences designed to ensure a particular racial mixture in their entering classes. It says even in the segregated South where I grew up, individuals were not the sum of their skin color, Thomas wrote. He says, while I am painfully aware of the social economic ravages which have befallen my race and all who suffer discrimination, he added, I hold out enduring hope that this country will live up to its. Oh my goodness. So this is praying that white folks Just live up, just be good white folks.
Just
Oh,
change. Just be
that's what
good
he's
white
saying.
folk.
Be good white folks. So I'm
Let it
praying that
apply to
this
us too.
exactly. It says, I hold enduring hope that this country will live up to its principles. It says so clearly enunciated in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States that all men are created equal, are equal citizens and must be treated equally before the law of Jesus Christ. It says, as he read his concurrence from the bench on Thursday, Jackson, who joined the court last year, stared blankly ahead. It says, though Justice Sonia Sotomayor read her dissent from the bench, Jackson did not read her own dissent, in which she went after Thomas's concurrence and accused the majority of having a let them eat cake obliviousness in how the ruling announced colorblindness for all by legal flat. It says a footnote near the end of Jackson's dissent went after the concurrence by Thomas, with the liberal justice accusing her colleague of demonstrating an obsession with race consciousness that far outstrips my or UNC's holistic understanding that race can be a factor that affects applicants' unique life experiences. It goes on to say, Justice Thomas ignites too many more straw man to list or fully extinguish here. Woo! She said the takeaway is that those who demand that no one think about race, a classic pink elephant paradox, refuse to see, much less solve for the elephant in the room, the race linked disparities that continue to impede achievement of our great nation's full potential. It says in her broader dissent, Jackson said that the argument made by the challenges that affirmative action programs are unfair blinks both history and reality in ways too numerous to count. I agree. It says, but this response is simple. Our country has never been colorblind. It's never been colorblind.
Never.
So his arguments will be valid if we lived in a colorblind society. But the reality is, we never have and we never will. I remember my grandmother used to say that. She said that to me 20 years ago. And peace be upon her soul, she became an ancestor in 2005, and nothing has changed since she closed her eyes. Okay, we haven't. So his arguments would be great if we lived in a colorblind society, but
Right.
we don't.
We
We
don't.
don't. We don't. So it says, but the response is simple. So it says, while Jackson recursed herself from the Harvard case, she did hear the UNC case, and her dissent was focused on the latter. Thomas then explicitly attacks Jackson's opinion. So they was going at it, Baba. So it says right here, as she see things, we are all exorbitantly trapped in a fundamentally racist society. We are. So it says, with the original sin of slavery and the historical subjugation of Black America still determining our lives today. It does. So it says, worse still, Justice Jackson uses her broad observations about statistical relationships between race and select measures of health, wealth, and well-being to label all blacks as victims. Thomas wrote at another point in he speaks like a white man, Baba. Thomas wrote at one point in his concurrence, her desire is so her desire to do so is unfathomable to me. Oh my gosh. So then it's going into the rest of this stuff. Family, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat if you want to read the last paragraph. Oh my goodness.
Wow. That's coming from the
Oh my,
Supreme Court.
right. Oh my goodness. So this was a
Mm.
circuit. But Baba, let's switch gears because we only got
Yes.
a few more ticks.
Yes.
So let's switch gears on this. So it says right here, hold on. You all heard about the mom and the mother and son in
Yeah.
Chicago. The
Yeah.
mother and sons. Here we go. Here we go, family. Here we go. The mother and son in Chicago. So here we go. I know you all heard about it. Let's talk about it.
Rob, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office said it was partially new evidence that helped lead them to this decision. Tonight, Carlisha Hood and her son are both out of jail, no longer charged as murderers. And a Chicago activist here in the city says that he believes it was cell phone video that helped lead to this decision. A violent fight turned deadly shooting at this far south side hot dog stand is now at the center of a major legal reversal. Police say as Carlisha Hood, seen here in the pink dress, was standing in line late on Sunday, June 18th, she and a man began arguing. That's when they say Hood's 14-year-old son came into the restaurant. We've blurred the boy's face because he's a juvenile who's no longer charged with any crime. As he's watching from the doorway, police and witnesses say the man arguing with his mother, identified as Jeremy Brown, repeatedly punches Carlisha Hood in the head. The violent attack was captured on this cell phone video, which was shared on social media by a local activist and has been viewed more than 32 million times. We froze the video before the impact of the punch. Police say as his mother's being hit, Hood's 14-year-old son fired his gun repeatedly at Brown, shooting him in the back. Police say Brown ran out and the mother and son did too, with the son still shooting.
No one else in the establishment did anything. And so once he saw his mother being severely, hit, he took action.
The two surrendered to police and were later charged with felony first-degree murder. Today, the Cook County State's attorney dropped those charges, saying in a statement that, quote, based upon the facts, evidence, and the law, we are unable to meet our burden of proof. ABC 7 legal analyst Gil Sofer explains.
The state, once they got a hold of this video, saw what the defense would be, and that defense would be self-defense, because now that the defense has a claim, a very strong one, it seems, that the shooter was acting in defense of his mother, who was being pummeled by an assailant. That's a pretty hard case to bring on murder charges.
We did reach out to Carlisha Hood and some of her family members today, but they did not want to comment. Just now, an attorney representing the mother and son said they'll be speaking tomorrow morning about a lawsuit they plan to file. Watch breaking news.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna stop sharing, Baba. And she did speak out.
Mhm.
I do want to play a little bit of what she said, family. She did speak out, and we'll get into it, Baba.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carlisha, Carlishia. Last name is Hood, Hood. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support for me and my family. On June 18th of this year, my life changed. My son's life changed. I've experienced pain in many ways that I would never have thought, never. What happened to me was totally unnecessary. Never in a million years would I have imagined being brutally attacked, beaten, and then arrested. I am thankful that the Cook County State's Attorney dismissed the case. I am also thankful to have my son with me and by my side, and also his charges being dismissed. I thank my family for supporting me and the people all over the world. The people did not play. Yeah. And I just thank God everything was revealed. And just everybody who has been praying and rooting for us, I just thank God for them. That did not go unnoticed. You are all not forgotten. And we are praying for all the families affected by this horrible tragedy. I am now in the process of healing and putting my family's life back together. During this trying time, we ask if, we could please have space to rest and recover from this life-altering situation. And that you all continue to keep us in your prayers. In the near future, I will be able to respond to outpouring of support. Again, I just need a little time to heal and to just get my life back with my baby. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Take your time, baby. That's it.
So this sister, and just to give a bit of context, Baba, for folks who don't know, this sister went to go get something to eat. While she's in there, the people mess up her food. Okay, they mess up her food. a brother's in there. I don't even want to call him a brother, because anybody that punches a woman the way he punched her is no brother of mine. And he's not a man. So I'll say the dude. Okay. So the dude comes in there. He's waiting for his food. And he's frustrated because he's ready to get his food. And they said that usually this establishment, Maxwell's or whatever, they already have like food already prepared. And so he just thought he was going to come in, get his food, and roll out. But this woman is going back and forth with the people because her order was wrong. And so that's why you hear him in the video say, just take your food and go. Because he was just ready for her, whatever was transpiring between her and the people in the back. He was just wanting them to go so he can get his food and get out of there. So she's trying to explain to him what's going on. He gets frustrated with her, and he's like, oh, just go, take your food and go. Oh, my grandmother, I'm not trying to hear all that. And punched her, right? Punches the girl, punches the woman. But meanwhile, they got footage of the son. He comes at the door and he shoots the guy, follows him out, continues shooting him. So now when the footage hit the net, Baba, what I don't appreciate is that she was instantly attacked by black dudes. I don't want to say men. Black men were like, damn right. Where were the other men in there? Why did her son have to step up in the first place? Shout out to those black men who said that. Those black men say her 14-year-old son should have never been in a position where he had to shoot an individual who violated his mother. They said there were men, allegedly, so-called men in that establishment. So the black men said, wait a minute. Why was he even put in that position where he had to defend his daggone mother? Where were the other men? Where were the men there? Why didn't they stand up? So I want to salute those brothers who said that.
That's right.
I salute those brothers. But then you always have these chumps online, these chumps, these black boys who are sitting there. They attacked that woman. They dragged her name through the mud. Oh, she probably started it. Oh, that's what's wrong with black women. They run their mouth too much. So justifying what this woman, justifying what happened to this woman. How dare you? And I was upset because, Baba, check this out. Let me show you this. Before this incident, hold on Father's Day, because this incident happened on Father's Day. Before she was attacked, do you know this woman gave $600 out? She cashed out $600 to black men in her community on Father's Day. $50 here, $60 here. We have cash apps. She cashed out $600, wishing black men in her community a happy Father's Day, only to go to a daggone cafe or a carryout and get punched by a black dude. And you want to act like she was the problem. And that's what got me, that people actually dudes were trying to justify why this woman was violated. They didn't say, well, daggone, it was brothers in there. Why didn't those brothers step up? That's what the black men were saying. Wait a minute, there were some brothers in there. They should have stepped up, watched the whole thing before everything got out.
Right.
You always had the black cowards. The black male cowards who come in, man, it probably was her fault. Man, they started spreading rumors and saying that she was texting her son to come in there. And the authorities said that none of that was true. They spreaded a lie that she texted her son to come in there and do that, told her son to do that. No, she didn't. The authorities said, no, she didn't. Because had she had done that, she would be locked up right now. If they had a cell phone of her telling her 14-year-old son to come in and shoot this guy, right? That woman would be a conspirator to a co-conspirator, a conspirator to attempt murder. Easy. You understand? Or she would be in jail right now for second-degree murder, because it wasn't premeditated. So she wouldn't have got first, but she definitely would have got second or third.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? But Bob, I want the family to hear this. She $600 she gave away.
This is Carlicia Hood. She is the mother who was attacked by this legacy of low achievement in Chicago, and her son had to pull out a gun to save her life after he attacked her. This woman spent the morning donating money to single fathers. Yes, donating money to them. You can see here, you can pause it. Calculated this money up. She said she wanted to just bless some single fathers in the Chicago community. And these were men that she knew to be good fathers. She gave more than $600 to these men, only to go to get her son something to eat later on Father's Day, only to have a so-called single father, at least a man with children, a baby daddy, to attack her. Guys, make this make sense.
Right. That's what happened to her. And Phantom, I see your little comment in the chat. Phantom, you a clown. Fam, you a clown. You a clown. And I guarantee you,
clown.
and I guarantee you, and I'm saying this, I'm in Baltimore and I'm not hiding. Come say it. Come say it.
Right.
Pull up. You a clown. To sit up here and say that,
yeah.
mind their business. She brought on herself with that loud mouth. And now she didn't deserve, he did. I guess you're trying to say he didn't deserve to get hit. Phantom, you a whole clown.
When nobody louder than the dude. When nobody louder than him.
Right. Having a whole
he was the loud mouth. He was the loud mouth. He was the emotional loud mouth who couldn't keep his emotions in check. And now he got his, I would say wings, but if you believe in them two dynamics, now he got his tails and horns. Cause he, you know what I'm saying? He out of here. He the one that was emotional. He was the one that couldn't stay under control. What hurt me the most too, the most disgraceful thing I saw too, before he hit her, he say, "On my grandmama, if you say something else, I'm gonna hit you." Is that what your grandmama wants you to do?
Right.
You gonna put that on your grandmama's life?
Come on,
man. Y'all sick, man. A lot of y'all sick. A lot of y'all got mama issues, daddy issues, abandonment issues. And Phantom, you need to go see a therapist, bro. Because that's not how it works. That's not how it works. That's not what a man say. That's not what a man does, right? Even if a woman has the loudest mouth, we don't go in it. We don't attack them. You don't get physical. There are a lot of ways to deal with things. You don't have to go there. She wasn't doing anything to that brother to warn him to hit her with all this might in a public place in the face. No, man. No, bro. There's no justifying that. There's no justifying that at all. And if sisters had somebody on deck like that, half of y'all have to walk different.
Facts.
A lot of y'all clowns, a lot of y'all sorry, poor excuses for males would have to walk different if there was somebody on point ready to put one in you the next time you disrespected a black woman.
Come on, Baba.
I think a lot of y'all just butt hurt because you know you've done that before, or you've wanted to do it, or you've talked sideways and you had a moment where, ooh, that could have been me. We can't have people starting to defend black women like that, because that might be me. Y'all better be happy y'all focus on education and didn't focus on raising the army inside the neighborhood, or a few people might be done disappeared by now.
Come on, Baba. Come on.
That's just what it is.
Come on, Baba.
That's just what it is. I hold my tongue on a lot of things, man, because I don't play games. I don't play the in-between stuff.
Right.
I don't do that. I don't do the lip service thing. Right. You know, a lot of y'all out there clown. I ain't saying us. I'm talking about y'all, those of you who don't know how to be men.
Come on, Baba.
A lot of y'all need to be humbled, like really, really humbled.
Come on, Baba. Come on.
I'm concerned with the son and making sure that mentally he gets the counseling and the talking to and encouragement that he needs to get, because he defended his mother.
Yeah,
it is whatever you want to call it. He defended his mother. How many black men are walking around that been in situations where we were supposed to stand up and defend our mother, our daughters, our sisters, and we didn't do it because we were scared? He defended his mother. So now, man, that's not how you do it. And then they in that closed space, you know, very impersonal space. A lot of these little restaurants in the hood look like jailhouse cafeterias, where you go in and got the walls up, the windows up, to make sure can't nobody get across the counter and all that. And it's like you in a box with everybody, and everybody mad looking at each other, and we just giving them our money. It's already a frustrating, intense situation. So you go in there and you ain't got your mind on straight, and you think that it's okay for me to take this out on this sister here. That was a whole bunch of displaced anger, and he gone now. He gone now. Yeah. And I ain't crying no tears.
And Baba, it came out, you know, TikTok, the TikTok and Instagram and Twitter investigators. It came out that he had a girlfriend that he was dealing with, and he just burned down her house. So they said this guy has a history. So you see what I'm saying?
So he had issues, man. He had issues.
His brother had, this dude had, I don't know that brother, but this dude had issues.
Yeah, he had issues.
It came out that he had some issues. He just burnt down his girl house. And meanwhile, she got back with him and she's online defending him. So he just violated her, burned down her house.
Right.
She twerking at the funeral, twerking on his, they had this cutout of him twerking doing that and defending his honor on social media. But meanwhile, a few months ago, he burned her damn house down. So this
Right.
dude had a temper, and he was never checked. He
He was
was
never
never
checked.
checked. He was
Yeah.
never checked. And look at
Yeah.
what ended up happening. Look what ended up happening.
Yeah.
Baba, go ahead, Baba.
No, I'm seeing this chat extra money saying, people standing around didn't break it up because they seen women get abused before. And if you break it up, the women attack the person breaking it. That don't happen every time, extra money. And that type of thing he talking about is when you get in between two lovers, when you get into between two people, because I've been in all those situations, extra money. I done stepped in between situations in public where things was getting out of hand. There's a way to do it. There's a way to slide in between two people to to de-escalate things without it going too far. Right. So now let's not do that cop out that nobody did anything because if they did, the woman would have attacked them. Now it was obvious they wasn't in there together. It was obvious they wasn't boyfriend and girlfriend. No, man, people kind of stood around because people generally mind their own business. People want to watch life instead of intervene with life. Recorded it, and we just not on our game as a collective, y'all. We just got to admit that. We got to get better at being on top of our game as a collective. That could have been totally avoided if somebody would have stepped in quick enough to say, y'all, it ain't worth it.
Facts. So, Baba, let's hear from the lady that recorded it, though. Did you check out that interview? The sister who recorded it spoke out. Yeah. Here we go, Baba. Here we go. Let's check it out.
That black women stood up for a black woman. So here we go. Here you all. This is Rahima Lewis. Can you kind of sort of walk us through that night?
Okay. And I was on my way home with my friends. They wanted to stop. My friend and my cousin, they wanted to stop and get something to eat. So we stopped at the Maxwell on 116th House. When we got out the car and we was proceeding into the restaurant, the young lady and the man was already arguing when I got there. So they was arguing when I got there. She was explaining to him something about the line. He kept on trying to get her to shut up. Like, if you don't shut up, I'm on my grandma. Kept on being aggressive with her. She was never aggressive. Let me get that part straight. Always.
Wait a minute, Baba. Did you hear what the sister said? She was never aggressive. Because there were these dudes online. Like, these black women, they get all aggressive. They get in your face. And you know what I mean? And then when the brother do something, she just said she was never aggressive. She was she was just her food, somebody, they didn't prepare her food correctly. She's trying to sort that out. The brother's upset. He was having a mantrum. That's what I call it when a grown person has a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
He was having a mantrum because he probably was hangry, right? He probably went in there hangry. You see what I'm saying? So she's trying to talk to them, get her food straight, trying to talk to him. And she said that not one time was the sister aggressive. And I didn't get that just looking at her body language from the video. It didn't come off like, aggressive towards him. He seemed like he was real. I saw this with him. It seemed like she was like, look, like I'm trying to explain something to you. But meanwhile, he doing all of this extra stuff. So here we go, Baba.
Stay calm and maintain herself. She never got aggressive. So he kept on being, telling her to be quiet, shut up. So she was, I guess her son had walked in at that point. And that's when you guys can hear in the video, her telling her son to go to the car.
Wait a minute, Baba. They are lying on this sister and saying that she texted her son and called him in. No, she was busy arguing. She didn't call him in. This sister was arguing. You get what I'm saying, Baba? Here we go.
And once she said, go to the car, y'all hear him say, go to the car, say one more thing, I'll meet you on my grandma. And that's when he hit her. And everybody pushed me out the door and my phone fell on the ground where I fell too in my phone. So
Wait. Now, I didn't even know that. So you saying that the people who panicked pushed you down?
Yeah, it pushed me down. I broke my phone, so I can't use my phone unless I got my
stylus.
My stylus.
Oh, you do got Android. You fancy. So basically, you was in there trying to get food. You saw the sister there. What made you record?
I don't know. And I usually don't record. He was so aggressive. He was like, I don't think he was himself that night. I really don't.
I wanted to pause that part because that part triggered me. When I heard, Rahima, I'm so appreciative and I'm not trying to be a pessimist, but you don't know him. He wasn't himself that night. Well, how do you know what to compare what quote unquote his self is if you don't know him? Based upon the video I did yesterday, he was himself that night. He was so much of himself that his family coined him the quote unquote knockout king. Oh, he got his hands up for this person and, knocked them out they socks. So that was him. Lovely Rosemary, shout out to you, boo. Hey, boo. She tagged me under this page. And this is the response that the woman whose house got burned down by Jeremy. They posted this and it says, I don't respond to crap about Jeremy in my Dirk voice. And Takia, the woman who people are alleging was present, that hasn't been confirmed. And she's also stating, I guess she's his girlfriend. She said, and that B got her ish knocked back, talking about Carlisha. And someone said, but he's gone, but her and her son's still alive and free. The FB, didn't he just burn your crib down in April? I'm confused as F. And she said, how long though? So when y'all say things, oh, I wasn't sure, somebody did something, he just wasn't, he was out of his element. No.
Now, usually, I'm telling you, I would rather say something like, could you calm down, leave her alone? But looking at him, it was nothing I can do with that man because he was so angry. I believe if I would have said something, he probably would have attacked me too. So at that point, all I can do is pull out my phone and record.
So when I talked to you, you talked about having witnessed this, having recorded it, and 6 or 7 days later, you said you watched something on the internet that also motivated you to share. What was that?
All the comments, how they was bashing that black woman, her son, like they was just this, like she just sent her son in the restaurant and said, just shoot a random person. Just like she was this bad mother. And we as black people, we get painted in that light all the time. Yes. And as a black woman with black boys, I would not.
And so you said, I gotta share it.
I would do it again because they always tell us to be quiet. Everybody, they got us in so much fear. I don't fear nothing.
I love that.
Nothing.
I love that.
Nothing. Because I would want anybody to do the same act for me if me and my son was in that situation.
Everything you saw as it relates to people saying she told her son to come in there, she was trying to be a man and be combative with him. These are things, no, you didn't see none of this.
No. All the lies where they said told him to keep on. No, I never heard that. See, I'm about to tell y'all better stop believing everything this internet tell y'all. Because baby, I keep telling y'all,
that's
fake
right.
News. And if you don't believe you hear it from the horse's mouth, fake news.
Is there anything else that you would say or would want to say?
No, that as black people, we need to stick more together.
Yep. Yes.
Because y'all is not going to get us nowhere. There's too many of our black kids out here getting killed. It's too many. It's like we at war with ourselves. We at war for what? We all out here trying to survive. But we hate each other so much. And I don't understand that. And I'm a stick and I'm a ride for man all the time.
That's amazing. When you shared the video, what did you think it was going to do?
What I didn't think it was her. I just wanted justice for that young lady and her son. That's all I was thinking about. And I'm going to be honest. The person that was on my heart the most was that child.
Yes.
I have sons. I have a son that's locked up right now that I'm trying to get out. Right now, that's going through the same thing in jail. Right now. And I would want somebody to do it for me. I want to touch and hug my son right now.
Wow.
You understand? I'm a mother.
About her son, he was portrayed like this kid that just did this. He was like a thug. What did you see with the son? Talk about the son, what you saw.
Oh, when I did my background check and everybody telling me all the things he have accomplished, how he was just graduated from grammar school on his way to high school. No, I couldn't allow that. That boy ain't even finished living. No, he deserved a chance. Because he a hero, because he helped save his mother's life.
Yes.
Because honestly, looking back on that situation at night, I don't think that young man would have stopped. Because he kept on. It just went like a one hit and leave it alone. It was multiple.
It shouldn't have been none. And I know she's not saying it should have been more. Keep your hands to yourself.
He did what any son would do for their mother. That's a man's instinct to protect his mother and his sister. A woman, period.
I heard that the place was packed. Like it was a lot of people.
The place was what?
Was it a lot of other people there that could have possibly intervened?
No, it was the young lady that was arguing. The guy that she was arguing with, it was an older man and back to her. Then it was another older man and back to her. Then it was the young lady I was with. Then it was me. And then it was the girl on the side that I think the young man was with. The one that y'all heard in the video saying he told you to shut up. I think she was with him.
Okay.
So that's a total of 2 men, me, 6 people. No, it wasn't crowded. No, not at all. Not nobody there that could have got that man off of her. No, because the 2 men that was in back of her, they was like one had looked like he was about in his 80s, and the man that was behind him wasn't that much.
Also, Baba,
Okay.
there go, yeah.
Okay.
So now
Good,
that goes,
good.
Baba,
Okay,
yeah,
makes sense.
So them brothers, it does make sense.
It makes sense. Yeah.
You agree? Then you got 3 girls in there.
The one thing that I love about you is that you never was looking for credit. Even when I called you, you was not looking for credit. But I wanted to tell you on this live, and I'm pretty sure everybody on this live feels the same way. What I told you on the phone, you were a hero, a hero.
I got rewarded when when God allowed me to help him. That was the biggest award he could have gave me, to allow that mother and that child to walk.
That's so African.
And have a second chance.
Yeah.
But do you understand that there's so many people who, even myself, you know, we might have done our little parts, but do you understand that because you did that brave thing, that this family was released? You know, you know God really did use you for that, right?
I know, because I was trying to get home all that night. I even called my son to try to pick me up. He won't come. I knew I felt something was going on that night. I knew it. And I wanted to get home bad. I even called my son. He won't come get me. Nobody will come get me. So that's how I ended up there. Because I would have went home. I wouldn't have been in that situation if my son would have picked me up. I look at it that God wanted me to be there because he knew I was going to do the job that he needed me to do.
This is a question that someone asked me to ask you. What do you think that we as a community can do to heal how we handle each other, how we view each other, heal our situation? What do you think?
I think we need to learn how to deal with our emotions. People don't know how to deal with their emotions.
Emotional intelligence, Baba.
I used to be that girl, somebody say something to me, yeah, no. But, people that don't know how to deal with their emotions.
Healing. Shout out to Dr. Minister Aksar in the building. Healing.
I say.
And this word became to make us so distant. I mean, we grew up, we all helped each other on the block. We cleaned up together, we cooked together. Like, this generation is just, I don't know. It's so much hate.
So
it's always very interesting to me when I.
So I do want to say this, and I want to stop sharing. And I see Naga Priest said, even if other men was there, I doubt someone would have intervened. Then there wouldn't have been men there. Right. I'm going to say that. You can't look me in my damn face and call yourself a man, and you see a dude that then socked, or you see something like that escalating, and you know where it could go, and it's nothing in you that says, let me intervene.
Right.
Let me grab the sister, even if it's like, I'm not even going to grab the dude. Sister, let me make sure you good. Let me get you to the car. You get what I'm saying? Not saying you got to throw yourself in front of the bullet or the punch, but a man would have been, sister, let me, sweetheart, what's going on with your meal? Okay, baby, let me make sure I get you to the car safe, and de-escalate it that way. Not even dealing with this fool over here, because he was a complete fool, but actually just intervening in the middle. Hey, sis, all right, y'all. Okay, that's enough. Come on, man. Let me get your food so you get up out of here, and let me get you to the car safely. So to answer your question, Naga Priest, if other men was there, I doubt someone would have intervened. Those people wouldn't have been men. And then you said no one did when the brother got choked out on the train and it was packed. And I'm going to say to you again that they weren't men either. They weren't men either. Because the men I know, the brothers I know,
that's what I'm talking
they
about.
step up. The men I know. Shout out to those brothers of PLM. Shout out to those brothers. Shout out to Dr. Asar in the building. Shout out to Brother Jabari. Shout out to my uncle.
I say.
Shout out to my uncle. Shout out to my male cousins. The men I know would have stepped up. And shout out to the 100,000 people watching, Bible. We got to drive.
I say, that's what I'm talking about.
Finally hit that number, Bible. We finally hit it.
Come on.
Let me see where I
that's
can
what's up. Hold
on.
Fire!
And Baba, we know that the sister is now suing. This is the article, family. I'm going to drop the link in the chat.
Get them.
She is suing. The sister is suing. She's suing. And she should.
Absolutely.
It says right here, Chicago mother sues city at the murder charges were dropped against her and her son. You know what I mean? And so, family, they are suing her. And I'll drop this link in the chat if you all want to if you all want to check this out, but let me
Yeah.
see on the grounds of what did it say? Chicago mother was accused of telling her teen son to shoot a man, right? She didn't say any of this, to shoot a man at the fast food restaurant and suing the city and arresting officers a day after the murder charges against her and her son were dropped. It says Carlisha Hood, 35, was held on a $3 million bail after she was charged last week with first-degree murder and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. She was released on Monday from the Cook County Jail. Cook County State's Attorney Office said it was unable to meet our burden of proof in the prosecution, of these cases. Of course it wouldn't. So it says right here, I've experienced pain in many ways that I would never have thought, she said about her arrest. What happened to me was totally unnecessary. Never in a million years would I have imagined being brutally attacked, beaten, and then being arrested, right? It says Hood alleges malicious prosecution, false arrest, and intentional infliction of emotional distress in her lawsuit filed in the Cook County Circuit Court. It says a cell phone video posted on social media over the weekend shows the man yelling at Hood on June 18th to get your food before threatening to knock her out. He then punches Hood in the face and hit head several times. Prosecutors said Hood texted her 14-year-old son, who was outside the restaurant, to come inside. Jeremy Brown, 32, was shot in the back by the teen and then ran out of the restaurant. Hood and her son, whose name was not released due to his age, followed Brown and Hood. Told the teen to continue shooting. Prosecutors said Brown was pronounced dead at the scene. The shooting was recorded by surveillance video, but not the cell phone video. Officials said Hood and her son turned themselves over to the police. So it goes on to say prosecutors said Hood was a valid firearms owner. Owner's identification and concealed carrier permit. Her attorney, Ari Williams, told reporters on Monday that Ms. Hood is and has always been a victim. It says on June 18th, this is my year, the year my life changed, my son's life changed, she told reporters. Yeah, so she was a licensed gun carrier. And guess what? A report came out that said that Black women are now carrying guns in high numbers. This is what it said, Bob. It was a report that came out, said a lot of Black women are going to get their HQLs and their concealers gun license. So they're going to get that. And so, Baba, you see a lot now, and I've been seeing videos online. I've been seeing a lot of videos of women defending themselves. There was a woman that just shot a Black dude, I think it was like a couple of months ago. He came out there trying to help him out. He ended up attacking her and trying to get her gun. She turned around. She said, I will kill you. I will kill you. Shot
I saw that.
out. And he said, oh, baby, don't shoot me. I don't want to die. She said, bow. Didn't I tell you? Bow. A lot of women, they said Black women in record numbers are now getting guns. So I'm telling the fellas now, you better watch yourself, because the sisters aren't playing at this point. They're saying, look, if you ain't going to protect us, we're going to rise up and protect ourselves. Shout out to those Black women who are gun carriers right now. I see a lot of videos of Black women, people attacking, trying to get into Black women's home. One sister was in Texas, and Bobby, you probably know who I'm talking about. Some white boys were trying to get into her home. I believe this was in Texas. She said that she had a shotgun, and she said she barricaded herself in her room with her 3 children, because she said she knew that these white dudes were getting ready to knock down the door. And they did eventually, and thank God she had a Ring camera that captured all of the stuff that I'm saying. And so anyway, these white dudes were trying to get in. They finally got in. This sister rang off a shot, pow! And all you see is the white dudes running out. And she was on TV. She said, if I didn't have my gun, I may have been a victim. I may have died. You see what I'm saying? So shout out to those sisters. I made sure every woman in my family is a licensed gun holder. My aunt, who's 60, my mother, who's almost 71. We all are. My best friends, we all have guns. We're not playing around. We're not playing around. And shout out to those sisters that's not playing around. So
that sister's in Texas. Texas is open carry. So, it's straight up Second Amendment. So, permit or not, you can have you one.
Absolutely. So Extra Money said she wouldn't have been arguing in Chicago. I don't even know what they're talking about. They beefing back and forth. I don't know.
They doing a woulda, shoulda, coulda. They got to make it make sense for them from where they are. They got to make it make sense, for them where they are, man. Point blank, y'all. The sister had protection ready. Son stepped up, protected his mother. And This is all, I mean, you could take this back to poverty. You could take this back to mental health, the whole 9 yards. We have to heal. Just
Come
like
on,
Minister
Baba.
Assar said, man, we have to heal. There's some healing that needs to go on in our community. And I'm proud to be a part of that healing.
Come
You
on, Baba.
know, I'm
Likewise.
proud to play a small role in that healing with the Uhuru Academy. I'm proud to be working with you, Dr. Maat, and Conscious
Same. Likewise.
Ingenuity.
Likewise.
And you know, I'm the king of the segue. You know, we y'all, let's be about these solutions, right? Let's be about solutions. We're offering a solution this summer for our children and learning with the UACI Summer STEM Camp 2023, Uhuru Academy, Conscious Ingenuity, coming together to teach our babies the best of our past and prepare them to write their own future. You know what I'm saying? And so the only camp in the world where you get Black history taught from an African-centered perspective, blended with STEM education, also taught from an African-centered perspective. I'm so excited about the camp. The dates are July 10th to July the 21st. We taking in 30 students. It's a virtual camp, 30 students, and we got less than 10 spots left. And that ain't no cap. We got less than 10 spots left. So it's time to get signed up. This is the most powerful camp. Y'all, I've been teaching African history for 30 years. I can't teach nothing. I can teach knowledge of self to Black youth. And Dr. Mayat, she develops engineers for a living. Matter of fact, our STEM camp is going to be taught by engineering students and graduates. All right. So this ain't no fly by night. We just gonna put on a video, watch a video, and send them home. That's not what this is. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interactive, and we're plugging your children into a pipeline towards success between our network. Oh my gosh, right? The Uhuru Academy network and the Conscious Ingenuity network, and plugging your child into that network is going to follow your child through high school, into college, the whole 9 yards. This could be the beginning of your baby's future. And I'm not overstating that. Matter of fact, I don't feel like I'm stating it emphatically enough. With everything that's going on out here, right? This could be the start of your child's future. The UACI Summer STEM Camp 2023. Shout out to the CAP Center, one of our sponsors out of Morgan State University. They're going to come away with their own microbit computers. We're working on getting the Chromebook sent out to everybody, the T-shirts, certificates of completion, and again, a part of the UACI STEM network. So whenever we have a camp, your baby's going to know about it. Whenever we see other opportunities for scholarships and things like that, if your baby's serious about a STEM career, you got a reference letter in us, right? So definitely you want to get your babies involved in UACI Summer STEM Camp.
Absolutely. And family, it's for children between the ages of 8 and 16. 8 to 16, family, children between the ages of 8 and 16. And as Baba said, I mean, I don't know of any other camps out there. So your child will be with Baba and I from 9 to 1 in the morning for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. They'll be with Baba Amin, who is a master teacher. Also, shout out to Brother Sean Gales. He's also a teacher in the K-12 system. And so Brother Sean Gales and Baba, they will be with your child for the first hour and a half, 2 hours, talking about history, talking about STEM history, right? Our history as it relates to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Then family, for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, your children will be on with myself and my students who are students at the University of Morgan State University. They'll be online with my students, and we're going to be going over cybersecurity, coding, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So our first week, the focus will be cybersecurity. They're going to learn about IoT devices, cybersecurity and the 6 cybersecurity concepts, encryption, decryption, hashing, and all of those sorts of tools. And that will be followed by lessons, right? For hands-on activities, not lessons, but hands-on activities involving coding with the microbit. The second week is going to focus on artificial intelligence and machine learning. Our children will be they'll know how to create neural networks. They will know how to create intelligent assistants. They'll know how to collect and clean and analyze and display data. Family, we're not playing around. Get your child enrolled today. As Baba said, we have less than 10 slots. I dropped the link to the chat in the chat. Make sure family, I see something. Someone said, never took my child to get a snack, 10 o'clock p.m.
Oh yeah, some of them are still on that. You know what I'm saying? Some of us still are trying to grapple and find excuses and to make that sister wrong. You know what I'm saying? And y'all, it's parking. Don't park your car on that trauma. Okay, don't park your car
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's pull lessons from what happens. All right, let's pull lessons from what happened. Pray for all involved. You know what I'm saying? But pull that lesson
Absolutely.
from it, and then let's move forward. Let's look at the conditions that create these situations, and let's get involved and support initiatives that help eradicate those situations, help improve those situations. All right, it's not enough to sit around and just complain about things, y'all. We got to do something about it.
I
Right?
feel
You want to complain about how sisters are? Well, how many female rights of passages are you supporting? How many
Come on.
girls
Come
programs in
on.
the community
Come
are
on,
you
Baba.
supporting? You know what I'm saying? How many spiritual programs are you supporting in your community to help those who are doing that work? See, everything y'all complain about, somebody's in your community doing something about it. Are you?
Are you? Are you? Like you said, are you? Are you even supporting? And speaking of support, family, let me put him on the screen. Shout out to Brother Anka Cat. He will be in the building tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So all I'm gonna do, Baba, is literally go downstairs, get something to eat, and get my mind prepared for his
All right.
wonderful presentation, family. He's
Oh,
going
I'm
to be talking
definitely
about the
tuning in.
flat Earth theory debunked tonight, family. At it says Thursday and Friday. That's the wrong flyer. That's the wrong flyer. But anyway, family, it's tomorrow and Saturday. Let me find the right flyer, Bob. I feel bad. Let me download the right flyer. That's the wrong flyer. He's probably shaking his head right now, like, Doc, that's the wrong flyer. That's the wrong flyer. So let me pull it up. This is the correct flyer, family, because it's tomorrow, today, and tomorrow. Here we go, family. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Let me put the correct one up. The correct flyer. Here we go. All right, Baba. So this is the correct flyer. My bad, Unc probably yelling, she got the wrong flyer up. So anyway, I think this is the correct one. Let me go here. Not this one. Let me exit out of this one and put this one up. There we go. So this is the correct flyer right here, family. Tonight be in the building for the Flat Earth Theory Debunked tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Brother Aunt will be right back on Saturday, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about how evolution is the key to understanding our origins. And so I'm looking forward to building with him tonight. You know, he's comical, Baba. And
Yes.
he makes me laugh while he's feeding me information. And so I appreciate that, brother. So make sure, family, that you tune in to the discussion tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I will be back in less than 2 hours? 2 hours I'll be back on for Brother Anka Cat. All right, family. So make sure that you tune in. Tonight we're going to go all the way in, all the way in. So, Baba, do you have any closing words for the listening audience?
No, you know what, y'all? Let's be better as a collective. Love on your people. Learn our story. You know what I'm saying? Learn our story. If each one of us looks in the mirror and works to improve us, if you get better, we get better. That's what I want to say. You know what I'm saying? And don't worry about the illusion of inclusion, because it was an illusion the whole time. Accept your own and be yourself. And Heal Power, in the chat, we did address your question about the STEM camp. Dr. Maat did let us know that they're going to be covering cybersecurity, coding, machine learning, IoT devices. She ran down a whole list of skills that the youth will be learning, and we even talked about them being plugged into the UAC, our network, afterwards, and the resources at their disposal after. So catch the replay.
Yeah,
but Dr. Maat, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. This was a great build. I appreciate you doing the research and that work and pulling the video up. I'm sure a lot of people did not get the perspective of the sister that recorded. I know I didn't. That was my first time. So thank you for doing that. This has been very powerful, and thank you to everyone in the chat as well.
Yeah, and Baba, thank you as always, coming through with that fire African-centered perspective. And so I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, to jump online and to just educate, something that you do flawlessly, in my opinion. So Baba, I appreciate your mind, your time, and your energy and wisdom, Baba. So thank you for being with us. And Baba, we gotta go live again. I'm thinking on Sunday, because I really want to promote. Yeah, I really want to promote the camp, Philly's 10 slots, because next week, family, we are shipping out the supplies. And so we just want to make sure that we have everybody locked and loaded at least by Monday or Tuesday at the latest of next week. So, Baba, let's definitely communicate and figure out a time to go live on Sunday.
Absolutely.
And I want the next topic to be, exploding. I'm thinking about Anthony T. Browder right now.
Yeah.
Exploding the European myths. He just said exploding the myths, but I want to say exploding the European myths.
Ooh, that's
and
gonna
let's
be
call
fun.
it that. Yeah, that's going to be real fun. A lot of the myths that we bought into. So, Bob, let's make sure let's do that on Sunday. Go live and talk about exploding the European myths. Family, make sure that you tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, family, if you haven't thumb up the video, please make sure that you thumb up this video, thumb up the video. You know what they say, the way the YouTube algorithm works, the more you engage with it, the more the video circulates. So, family, make sure that you thumb up the video. And also, family, share this video. Sharing is caring. We each one teach one over here. And when you each one teach one over here, we each one teach one in the 21st century. This requires you to just hit a button and share this discussion on your social media platforms. And also, family, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe. All right, and hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live, you will be notified. I'll be back in like 2 hours, family. Hopefully you tune in. Peace. Peace and Black Power. Baba, we out. We out.
See, I may not know the color of the sand on Mars, but brother, I can tell you why the cage bird sings no matter what the weather brings. 'Cause he can fly. Oh, and so can I.
And even though he cries his tears, the words he sings you may not hear. He sees the sunlight like his own, the soul got him home.
I can't fight no wars for money, ego or pride. I pray one day love becomes the bullet that just blows the world away. And we say freedom. Oh, freedom. Freedom.
Baba, Sister Pamela said that there's a link that says June the 26th to July the 7th. I'm not sure what link she's referring to.
I don't know what she's looking at. I'm pretty sure I've cleaned all that up.
Okay, just address it in the chat, Baba.
All the blues and bitter rain, I know that somehow seasons change. The color purple has a way of blessing us with better days. We've gotta heal, sister, for real.
Inside of each and every one lies the memories of where we're from. Pyramids of mustard stars is who we are.
Keep in mind the only jail is just the prison of ourselves. The truth lies in our footsteps, so we must never look away. We must pray freedom. Oh, freedom. Freedom.
It's alright to love yourself. It's alright to love your brothers. It's alright to love yourself. It's alright to love each other. It's okay to love yourself. It's okay to love your brothers. It's okay to love yourself. It's okay to love each other. It's alright to love yourself. It's alright.